Greetings, Exile. I recently posted a video presenting my build idea for a Bleed Earthquake Gladiator, which garnered quite a bit of attention. Some people even requested a leveling guide for it. So, following up on that, I present you my leveling guide for my Bleed Earthquake Gladiator. Before we begin, I want to inform you that I am not a speedrunner or a god gamer. These are neither the fastest nor the most efficient ways to level up. This is just how I level up. For Act 1, after killing Hillock, grab an axe and shield. Purchase Ground Slam from the vendor and link it with Chance to bleed support for your 2-link setup. If you find a 3-link with 3 red sockets, add Ruthless support available to you after completing the Medicine Chest quest. Acquire Warbanner and Shield Charge, then link Shield Charge to faster attack support when you reach the Submerged Passage. This will be your primary movement setup. Keep Dash or Frost Blink for getting over cliffs. Acquire Precision when you reach the lower prison. This will fix our accuracy problems till we have Resolute Technique. Replace Ground Slam with Sunder when you reach Merveil's Cavern. For Skill Tree, rush towards Wicked Blade and grab the Bleed Mastery that aggravates bleeding older than 4 seconds on hit. By the end of Act 1, your skill tree should look something like this. Look out for one-handed axes with high damage. If you are not getting lucky with drops, use the vendor recipe to upgrade your weapon by selling a blacksmith's whetstone, your axe, and a magic or rare rustic sash. You'll receive a magic version of your weapon with increased physical damage based on type of rustic sash used. In Act 2, after you save Helena, acquire Herald of Purity. Once you kill the Weaver, replace Chance to bleed with Cruelty and replace Ruthless support with melee physical. As for the deal with the bandits, we are going to make a deal with Kratin and going to be dealing with Oak and Alira, as the movement speed Kratin provides will come in very handy for our build. For the skill tree, rush towards Master of Wounds, then head straight towards Resolute Technique, picking up the small Chance to Bleed node on the way. By the end of Act 2, you can drop Precision since you won't need accuracy anymore. In Act 3, after failing to save Tolman, acquire Pride as a reward. Then, after killing Gravicious, get Earthquake from the vendor. Make sure you have Unwavering Stance allocated before switching to Earthquake, as you need to fight in close quarters and getting stunned will cancel your attack. If you have a 4-link with all red sockets, add Chance to Bleed to your main damage setup. After this, complete your first labyrinth and get Gratuitous Violence, which will provide bleed explosions, significantly improving your clear speed. For the skill tree, take a few reduced mana cost nodes, invest a bit in block, and take some axe nodes. By the end of Act 3, your tree should look like this. In Act 4, after killing both Kaum and Deresso, acquire Fist of War support as a reward, and replace Chance to Bleed with it. For the skill tree, invest a bit in life, allocate some new block nodes, and take the Block Mastery, which grants increased block chance. By the end of Act 4, your skill tree should look something like this. In Act 5, there will be no changes to our gem setup. For the skill tree, invest more in life. Allocate some aura nodes, and pick the Mana Mastery for increased mana reservation efficiency of skills. Keep in mind, once you finish Act 5, Kitava will take away 30% of all your resistances permanently, so start paying attention to your resistances to avoid getting one shot. To help deal with this resistance penalty, when you reach Act 6, clear the Twilight Strand, turn off Herald of Purity, then purchase Purity of Elements from Lily Roth and activate it. This will make you ailment immune and provide all resistances. Also, replace the Cruelty support with Swift Affliction. Create a new gem setup with Eviscerate linked to Cruelty and Fortify supports. From this point onwards, our gems are pretty much set until we reach maps. The only thing that will change is our skill tree. In Act 6, we invest a bit more in life and travel towards Deflection, which provides us with a chance to generate endurance charges on block. In this act, we will also reach 75% chance to block attack damage. Ensure you have at least 50% in all resistances. By the end of Act 6, your skill tree should look something like this. In Act 7, we complete our second labyrinth to gain our main ascendancy node, Jagged Technique. This allows us to deal full damage all the time, as any target we hit will take 210% more damage from bleeding, since Jagged Technique treats the target as if it were moving. With Jagged Technique, we no longer need the Bleed Mastery to aggravate bleed. For the skill tree, we take Hatchet Master, which provides us with Onslaught while mapping. We also take the Axe Mastery for faster bleeding. By the end of Act 7, your skill tree should look something like this. In Act 8, we allocate Leader of the Pack on skill tree, which provides us with enough mana reservation efficiency to turn Herald of Purity back on. We also invest in some life nodes and grab 2 small nodes that provides us chance to gain phasing on kill. Phasing is important for our build, as it allows us to move through targets without getting stuck while using Vol Earthquake. By the end of Act 8, your skill tree will look something like this. In Act 9, we allocate Freedom of Movement on the skill tree, which provides increased movement speed while phasing. We also invest in 2 small Fortify nodes, giving us a total of 20% chance to gain Fortify when we stun an enemy. This happens frequently while mapping because dealing more than 50% of your target's maximum life as damage guarantees a stun. This is an effective way to gain Fortify while mapping, and for single targets, we always have Eviscerate linked to Fortify support. By the end of Act 9, your skill tree will look something like this. In Act 10, we finish our third labyrinth and grab Determined Survivor, which sets our block chance from our shield to 50%. With this, we can now start using Versatile Combatant to gain both attack and spell block. We also invest a lot in faster bleeding and take the Damage Over Time Mastery for less damage over time taken. Keep in mind, when you finish Act 10 and defeat Kitava, you will once again lose 30% all resistance permanently. So before stepping into maps, make sure that you are res capped and create a new cast when damage taken set up with Immortal Call and Life Tap. Overall, the build performed really well even with trash gear. I even ran a few maps to test out its further potential, and it shows a lot of promise. Some notable uniques to look out for. Jack the Axe. Best in slot unique axe for Bleed Earthquake, as it gives more damage with bleeding. Duresso's Courage. Removes the need for Versatile Combatant if you have blocked an attack recently. We are going to produce 2 more parts for this build. The second part will cover mapping, and the third and final part will be a full showcase of the min-max version of this build, including a detailed build guide explaining the full concept behind it. If you like this type of content and want to stay updated on what's coming next, please consider subscribing or even joining our Discord server, where you can get the earliest updates on what's coming next. We are a growing community and would love to have you around. As always, thanks for watching.